Hello and welcome to our monthly live sleep chat. I'm Marta Carlo, founder of the International Parenting and Health Institute. I'm also the CEO and Director of Education, and I am here with guest Soda Kuchowski, who is our integrative adult sleep coach instructor. She is also the founder of Start with Sleep. And today, for our live monthly sleep chat, we are going to talk about and share useful tips and a short relaxation practice on how to transition smoothly into the fall season and sleep with ease. We know that with the change of seasons, while it's very exciting, there can also be some slight frustrations, maybe a little bit of overwhelm, maybe a little bit of moodiness, or even resistant to the change going on. So today we wanted to share with you a few tips. We're going to go into a few different topics that we feel are going to resonate with many of you and help you out in a very practical and realistic way. So part of changing the seasons is the transition itself. There is a transition. And for many of us, that transition can happen very quickly. If you have children, from 1 week they're not in school, next week they're right in school. We're getting ready now to change the routine, to change the schedule. For some of us without children, it's maybe coming back from vacation and heading back into work. And so a lot of times these initial changes that happen can feel very abrupt. So right now, Soda and I are going to talk about gradual transition. Gradual transition is something that we incorporate into our holistic coaching practice because it is a very practical and realistic way of inviting any kind of change into our space without feeling a huge overwhelm and moving into that change with much more ease. So, Soda, how does gradual transition fit into a change of seasons?
Well, I think like you said, there's going to be a change to a routine. During the summer months, we're spending much, later nights, right? And it's looking at what's your plan for what's happening in the upcoming months. So getting yourself more on a regulated schedule, looking at the things that cause stress in your life, right? In the program, we talk a lot about things like triggers and different things that can happen. So I think it's important to recognize what are the small steps that you can incorporate as we see the change of season, right? Because we're seeing less light, we're getting less vitamin D. There tends to be a lot more sluggishness. Where I live on the East Coast, we get a lot less vitamin D, right? So what are the things that we can do to kind of figure out what are the steps that are going to help to support our well-being, our self-care, and our health in the best way possible. Some of that might be incorporating things like light therapy, right? Changing, the way that your schedule looks. So I think it's just looking at on an individual basis, right? What are the small steps that you can take to support whatever it is your day needs to look like?
And that's exactly the definition of a gradual transition, which I have right here. Gradual transition is a transition that occurs as a result of small accumulation of changes over a period of time. So a few weeks before the fall comes in, even though you may not want to be thinking of it, it's something to have as a mental preparation and a physical preparation. One of the tips that I enjoy very much, and this is going to go back to a little bit later on when we go into the relaxation practice, is just simply by becoming more aware and more present in your environment. Because when you train yourself to be more aware in the present moment, and that becomes a daily habit for yourself, you will naturally, without having to think about it, without having to stress and make such a big deal about it, you naturally will start to feel the changes already occurring. Because every day, if we were to look at the timing of the sunrise and the sunset, it's not exactly the same exact time, minute or second. It gradually is changing. If we're same with the weather. So in nature, already in our environment, things are changing on a day-to-day basis. But because many of us are so heavily fixated on distracting things, like, maybe we're caught in certain conversations we had with people or our to-do list with work or the kids, we're not tuned in to our environment. We're not tuned into our bodies, and therefore we're not already feeling those subtle changes that are naturally happening. So by becoming present and training yourself to be more aware and more present, you already will start to pick on those subtleties and begin that shift. And how that supports our sleep very, very well is because Sleep again is something that it's when we get into circadian rhythm, which you're right is the biological clock. It's already responsible for supporting so many of the functions of our daily living. And if we are tuned into that, we will naturally get the sunlight when we need to get it. We will naturally feel into what foods are appropriate for us. And all of these things that we're doing in the daytime are setting up and helping us transition to sleep a lot better at night. So if Soda, let's talk a little bit about that, transitioning into sleep, because I know people will wake up with alarm clocks or they'll just go to bed really abruptly. And so besides transitioning to the fall, maybe we can talk a little bit about why it's important to transition even right into bed or in the morning as well.
Yeah, were you talking about intention in terms of like setting up the right routine for going to sleep and waking up? So, when it comes to, especially the summertime, right? We snacking later at night and so forth. So being intentional, it's all those, the culmination of their day-to-day lifestyle choices that have the most significant impact on the quality of our sleep at night, right? So taking a look at those things, it might be a little bit easier to stay hydrated when the summer months are hot, right? And it kind of reminds you that you're thirsty. There's all these little steps that we can take to help to support us with that. The same thing with our bedtime routine. A big part of self-care is that reflection piece that Mar had mentioned, right? Looking at what is it that we're currently going through in our life, what is our stress level, right? And that is going to dictate what our bedtime routine looks like. Sometimes we need a little bit more self-care. Sometimes journaling, reading, taking that bath, having a cup of tea. There's a number of different ways, different modalities that you can incorporate into your bedtime routine, but it should be based on first taking the time to self-reflect and see where are you at, right? But what's like, is your mind going a million miles per minute? Like, what kind of self-care do you need? And that is going to be where you're going to kind of start to set that stuff up. But when it comes to our bedtime routine, there's some kind of staple things. We know that we want to be turning off those electronic devices anywhere from half an hour to an hour before bed, depending on your sensitivity to it, right? And if you're someone who works in an office environment and you're on the computer all day long, maybe stepping away from that even sooner, right? Because that can go into that mental overload. Last time we talked about the different types of rest that we need. Sometimes we have that sensory and that mental overload. So if you know that you're feeling very high stressed, not watching the news before bed or watching a crime podcast, listening to a crime podcast. It's being conscientious and intentional about the choices that you're making that will either feed into that negative state or take you back into a place where you're able to decompress and wind down and actually get to sleep.
And that beautifully leads us right into our next point, which is cleansing your body and home environment. During the change of seasons, at any time, actually, for anyone, as you're feeling into yourself, you can always cleanse your body and the environment, but especially during the change of seasons, it gives us an optimal opportunity to reflect, as sort of saying, to have that intention of saying, okay, let me evaluate where I'm at right now. How are things feeling in my life right now? Is it time for me to declutter? Maybe I need to declutter my work environment, maybe my bedroom. And just begin evaluating your physical environment, both your body and your environment, to see and understand what may be getting in the way, what might be stressing you out a little bit too much. And when we talk about cleansing your body, some people will go into actual detox cleanses. And it really does depend what cleanse is best for you. We're not going to get into that today. But cleansing could just be something as simple as just shifting the kinds of foods you're eating. It doesn't have to be something extreme where you're going on a juice fast, you're going on a complete detox. It does not have to be that. While that might serve some people, and again, that's a whole nother topic, for some others, it might be right now, I'm feeling that depending on where you live, the weather's getting a little bit cooler. I'm feeling a little colder. I want to warm up with some more heating foods like soups, right? So being very aware, again, conscientious of those changes that are happening so that the cleansing that is going on is falling much in line with what's happening in your external and your internal environment. And you're always aware of, is this making me feel good? Is this giving me energy? Is this allowing me to relax and tune in and be very clear and focused? So just taking that time, just a few minutes, and reflect, what in my space can I declutter? What can I do in my eating habits, perhaps what I'm eating, ingesting, drinking, that will support me, that will bring me more at ease and help me through this transition throughout the seasons.
Yeah, the same things for your home environment. I mean, that's one of my favorite things is like spring cleaning, and then leading into the holidays. There's something to be said about decluttering. People really, they don't pay they don't place enough merit on the fact that if you have like laundry that's not put away in the corner of your room, or a pile of work that you can see like on an unconscious level, like that's still bothering you, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Clearing that stuff from your space has such an impact. That's why it feels so great when we kind of purge different items and we clear out our space. That's what gives us that good feeling. So, just being aware and setting time aside to really incorporate that into your life so that you can get yourself prepared for the change in the year.
Connecting with yourself, setting an intention, staying grounded. So we've already mentioned a little bit about this, reflecting, having that intention, and remaining grounded. During a transition, you'll go through periods of a shift and change where part of you will ease into the transition and a part of you may feel resistant to the transition. One of the key things to stay and remain grounded is to not resist the change. So when you are having a day, let's just say that the day's beginning, you woke up a little later than you wanted to. Let's say your alarm didn't go off, so you woke up a little bit stressed. And let's say that you couldn't get your breakfast in and you really felt like you needed to nourish yourself. So already the day is just starting in a way that you did not plan. Our instinct, or the way that we've been habitually trained, is to resist that and to try to fight it, even with our own mental space of, right? We begin beating ourselves up or getting angry at the situation. How could that have happened? Oh, my day's ruined. However, even though it may feel counterintuitive, if you simply welcome that in and say, all right, the day started off this way. I didn't wake up on time. I didn't get the nourishment I initially needed. However, I'm going to invite that in. I'm going to utilize the situation, and I'm going to move forward in a way that at this moment in time, I'm going to begin giving myself what I need, right? So that situation can actually help you and give you that energy that initially felt off or too strong, where you resisted. Use the strength of that energy rather than resisting it to actually help you move forward faster. So you've heard of that saying, what is it? Two steps forward, one step back. Is that the right? Am I saying it correctly?
I was actually thinking of, things only have the power that you give to them, right? So it's energy goes where energy flows. So if you decide that it's going to be a bad day, then it's going to be a bad day. But if you decide, you know what, this set me back, but take it all in stride, then that changes. It's about changing your mindset to what's happening. And instead of being reactive to it, right, kind of embracing it.
Yeah. And really realizing that the things that you think are setting you back can actually help you move forward even more stronger. That is so important, because often when I work with people, the mindset is, if something goes wrong, if I fall down, if I failed at something, I'm stuck here. And they get they replay over and over what's happened. But that mental shift, when you realize that can actually help you move further, faster, if you take all that energy, then you're more invested in doing that versus going, oh, okay, that's just something that they tell me all the time. But if you realize that energetically, it's such a strong energy, you can choose to take that strong energy and bring you down further. Think of it like a weight, right? You can lift the weight to make you stronger, or that weight can become a burden. So you decide how that works for you. Maintaining routines and schedules. So with the shift in the seasons, the routine will slightly shift. And the way that we maintain our routine and schedule is by making those slight shifts and changes along the way, in the same way that nature, as Soda and I have shared, also has its way of those gradual transitions and shifting very slowly over time. We can easily do the same. So it does not have to become an abrupt change overnight. We went from going to bed at 10 at night, now needing to get to bed at 9, right? An hour or 2-hour shift for some people. But we can actually begin to see, how can we start 15-minute increments of a shift within a 1 to 2 week period to help me transition into this?
Yeah, absolutely. And maintaining, somewhat, and I tell, with clients, there's some that like to follow a loose routine or more strict routine. But when you have those pieces in place, it makes it so much easier because, as you said, it just becomes your everyday habit, right? And as parents, like I'm a mom to an 8-year-old, right? It's also role modeling. And it's like when I do right by her, then I also do right by myself. And it's like, it's goes into that self-care, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to take care of yourself, and in turn, it becomes a family matter, right? Family sleep.
Exactly. And remembering that it's not the strongest or the most intelligent that survive, it's the most adaptable. So adaptability is your strength. When you master adaptability, you realize that life is not working against you. When these changes happen, it's working for you. You have an opportunity now to test your adaptability and realize, wow, okay, I can shift. I can go with the flow. I can make the changes that I need to make to accommodate my situation, right? The change of the seasons, the change in my environment, routine, and schedule. And so when you invite it like in that capacity, it becomes an adventure. It becomes something that is exciting. And you recognize it's an opportunity that you have here to create your space, to create your life, to invite it into your life and space rather than once again, oh, I have to go back to my old schedule. Oh, and so on. And so once again, you can use that weight to either burden you or you can use it to lift and become stronger, become that athlete in your life. All right,
I like to say that every day is a fresh start. Right?
Every day is a fresh start. Absolutely. Absolutely, Soda. So let's talk about remaining aware of your circadian rhythm and adapting to the change in daylight and why that's important and how that actually just naturally happens when we go through a change of seasons.
Well, I mean, we each have our own what's known as a chronotype, right? Some people tend to be more predisposed to being an early riser versus a night owl. Obviously, when we get into the fall and winter months, the days are shorter, right? We're not seeing as much daylight. So being aware of it, as I mentioned when we first jumped on the call, things like light are really important, light regulation. We want blue light and rich days. That's really important for us. But then at night, we want it to be that low light, or we want it to be more that amber, red, dim light. That's going to help to support our body's release of melatonin, which in turn will help us, maintain our sleep throughout the night. So it's just being aware of that. Specifically, most people know and adapt to what their chronotype is. A lot of them will move towards work shifts that kind of go into that. If you don't know what yours is, there are a number of quizzes that you can take online, but that will also help you set yourself up for success. There's a lot of things out there that say like, the early bird gets the worm, but if you're trying to force yourself to be up at 5 a.m. and that doesn't coincide with your chronotype, you're actually doing yourself more damage. There were some studies that came out that showed that if you're working against your chronotype, that exponentially, I'm trying to think of what the percentage was, your likelihood for developing chronic diseases, because you're constantly going against your own biological rhythm, because that's what your circadian rhythm is. So it's about honoring that and making choices to help support it, so that in turn it helps not only your energy throughout the day, but your ability to maintain and get good consistent sleep at night.
Thank you. And that leads us beautifully into now the practice that we want to share with you. So as I shared in the very beginning, one of the easiest ways to welcome any change in your life, and specifically the change of seasons into this fall transition, is by training yourself to become more aware. I will tell you that this does take practice. It's not something you can just think through. You can listen to all the positive affirmations. You can listen to, I know on YouTube, there's tons of videos out there where people will talk you through a lot of things. You can go to coaching and hear all sorts of tips, read all sorts of things. But the true change will happen when you put this into practice, when you begin applying this to your daily life. And it does take practice. Just like when you go to the gym and you start out with a 2-pound weight and you want to get up to 10 pounds, every day that consistency is key to then helping you get stronger and stronger to then reach your goal. The same happens if you want to be a good dancer, a good writer. Anything in life requires practice and consistency to improve upon, and it will also require failure. So if you find yourself that you begin practicing and some days you're struggling a little bit more, don't resist it. That's fine. If you find that, some days you give up and then you come back, that's fine. The failure is part of the stepping stones that you need to get better, to become stronger. All right. So for this practice, the intention of this practice is to bring more awareness into your life. It's to provide you an opportunity to become more present. Because when you're present, you already pick up on those subtle changes. You feel your body more. You feel what you're ingesting feels good or bad. You feel if you need a little bit more sunlight or not. You feel if you're actually tired, but your mind is keeping you up. So being present and aware is absolutely beautiful. And a key component to connecting our bodies with our environment and becoming more present is through our breath. But before we get into our breath, because many of us carry a lot of tension, right? Depending on what you're doing on a daily basis, you're sitting on the computer, whatever it is, you carry tension. Some of us on our shoulders, some of us on our hips, back. So before I get into a breathing practice, what I like to do is just open up the body a little bit. This is an exercise that is very nurturing. So there's no force. You're not forcing any kind of movement at all. You're not extremely stretching anything. It's something that will feel good. So if you're moving, if I'm giving you an instruction and we're circling our head or we're rolling the shoulders and something does not feel appropriate for you, honor that. Make note of that and honor, okay, this particular exercise or this particular movement doesn't feel so good in the sense that maybe there's a little pain or maybe I shouldn't make the movement as big or whatever it is. So honor and trust that as well and don't force a movement. So we're going to begin first. If your legs are crossed, you can uncross them. You can remain seated if you want. I'm going to remain seated just for the purpose of you being able to see me. But if you want to stand, you can also stand up. So standing is fine. But what you want to feel is you want to feel your feet grounded on the floor beneath you. So we're going to take a moment to feel how our feet are touching the floor beneath your body and just feel that connection with your feet and the floor. Okay? Feel that stability that your feet has with the floor. From there, you're going to feel your spine. Okay, so just notice your spine. And you're going to round your shoulders and your back just a little bit. And then you're going to arch your back just a little bit, not extreme. Again, these are small micro movements. You're going to round a little bit. You're going to arch a little bit. I'm just going to keep doing that for a few moments and start to notice if you feel any sticky spots, any little bit of tension, very natural to do so there. Okay. And then we're going to feel into a spot in between. So you're rounding, you're arching. Now lengthen your spine. Come to a middle point, which we call a neutral point. Okay. And so what this is your spine, your shoulders are right over your ribs, right over your hips. And your neck, your chin, is also at a neutral position. So you're not looking down and you're not looking up. It's right in the center. All right. So now we have an open channel in our spine. Posture, besides breath, is a very important part of opening up the channels and maintaining a present moment, because if we're closed in, we're closing that energy. When you open up your posture, when you align your posture in a very beautiful neutral position, this gives you the ability to take in the breath optimally and also allows you to sink into the present moment much more easily. Okay. So then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to begin to roll our shoulders back very, very much with ease. Just roll them back. And again, we're doing these exercises and movements just so that any sticky spots, any tension we can release and then reverse that. And then we're going to tuck the chin. We're going to slowly lift the chin up toward the ceiling. Once again, tuck the chin. We're going to slowly lift it up, bring it back to the center. And then we're going to give ourselves a little tick-tock. So we're just going to bring your ear toward the shoulder. And again, with ease. Everything is with ease. Feels very yummy, very good, really relaxing into it. Then we're going to start to give yourself a little semicircle, very slowly, little semicircle, one ear coming from one shoulder toward the other, feeling the opening through your spine, through your upper back. And then you're going to come back to the center. And now we're going to begin to roll and circle the hips. I'll stand up so you can see me. You can remain seated. And it's, again, a very small movement. We're just going to roll the hips around very slowly, very gently. You're going to roll those hips in one direction just a few times. And then slowly in the other direction just a few times. And then we're going to come back to the center. And then we're going to open up the jaw. So we hold a lot of tension in the face. We don't realize it. We hold a lot of tension. We're going to open up the jaw. I know I'm the one looking silly. Don't worry about it. Open up that jaw. Release and open and release. You can chew a little bit. You can scrunch your face and release it. And then we're going to just shake around. You can even stand if you want and shake your body a little bit. Shake around. Shake the body a little bit. Get that energy moving and flowing. And then lastly, we're going to do a forward roll. And we're going to come up. Now, if there's any hypertension, if you have any contraindications to this, number one, you're going to go slowly. And number two, you don't have to go all the way down. So if you have any back pain, any contraindications, like I said, high blood pressure, hypertension, anything like that, you maybe will just go a quarter of the way down or maybe halfway down and come back up, okay? Otherwise, if it feels nurturing for you, what we're all going to slowly do before we get into the breath work is you're slowly going to start to roll forward, just hinge forward at the hips. Very slowly, you're going to roll down one vertebrae at a time. Very relaxed, slowly releasing the spine, the neck, and the head. And then take a moment here and very slowly, one step at a time, you're going to come back up. Okay? All right. So this is a very short practice. Some of you, depending on where you're at, might need a little bit longer. So just keep that in mind. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the back of our hands. We're going to place them on our thighs. We're going to once again maintain that neutral posture with the spine. Chin is not down or up. Think of an apple's width between your chin and chest. So the neck is nice and lengthened. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. If that's not comfortable for you, you can keep them slightly open. We're also now going to close the mouth. So we want to use the most optimal way to breathe, which is going to be through the nose. Mouth is closed. Of course, if you have a restriction and you can't breathe through the nose, make the adjustments, but otherwise you're going to keep your mouth closed the whole time. Now we're going to begin to bring our awareness and our attention to our breath. We're going to notice how our breath enters through our nostrils, right through the head, through the body. Notice how your breath expands your body through your inhalation. And then begin to exhale. And as you exhale, notice how your body begins to release any tension. And once again, you're going to inhale. Now, as you continue to inhale, feel your breath traveling a little bit deeper into your body. So if you normally feel the breath just in your shoulders and chest, feel it now toward your ribs and even down toward your belly. Expand like a balloon. And then as you exhale, slowly release. Now, as you're continuing to do that, I want you to tune in and imagine your breath, this life force of nourishment, this life force of energy. As the breath is coming in, you're expanding, you're inhaling. Your body is being nourished, being flooded with all this nourishment. And as you exhale, anything that doesn't serve you, any tension is being slowly washed away, slowly being released. Now what we're going to do is we're going to count our breath. We're going to do an equal part breath. You're going to inhale for the count of 3. You're going to exhale for the count of 3. Just at your own pace. Some of us count a little bit off. So at your own pace, you're inhaling for a count of 3. Exhaling for a count of 3. I'm going to do that one more time. Then you're going to inhale for a count of 3. Now we're going to begin to lengthen the exhalation just a little bit to start for the count of 4. Inhaling for the count of 3. Exhaling for the count of 4. On your next round, if you feel ready, you're going to inhale for the count of 3. You're going to exhale for a count of 5. Maintain your focus and your concentration. Continue inhaling and exhaling with this count. Your mind may jump somewhere else for just a moment. If it does, don't worry. Just notice it and come right back. It takes practice to strengthen your focus and your concentration. Bring your focus and concentration back to your breath, back to your body. One more round. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 5. And after you complete that last round, you're going to bring your breath back to its natural rhythm, and you're going to pause for a moment. Notice how you feel. Notice how your body feels. Notice the environment around you. No judgment, just observing. You're a pure observer. And remembering any time in your life there's any resistance, any change, anything you feel that does not serve you. This practice, this short, small practice, you can do longer ones. There's many out there. This is one of many. This practice bringing you to the present moment, connecting you with your body, your breath, and your environment is very powerful. Anytime something comes your way that is resistant, if it doesn't feel good, give yourself, you deserve this. Give yourself this opportunity to pause, to connect, to ground. We're then going to bring our palms in front of our chest. Some people may consider this a prayer, but what I actually consider, why I love this position, is because I feel this. It is in the center of our chest, right, where we have our lungs, our breath. And it is also a connection between the lower part of our body, that midpoint of our body, and our mind, which often get disconnected. So by placing our hands here in the center of our chest, in this middle point here, we have an opportunity to recognize and once again invite the intention of staying connected between body, breath, and mind. And this connection is a connection that will bring you always the clarity and the focus that you need in any given moment, and also allow you to adapt very strongly to every moment. We're going to inhale, float the arms up overhead. As you exhale, just like a very light feathers, very slowly, you're going to just like light feathers, release those arms slowly down by your side. If your eyes are closed, you're very going to slowly open your eyes. And that completes our practice. Okay. There are thousands of variations of this. And today I gave you a little taste of one of thousands. There's visualization, there's auditory, there's so many. Very soon, I'm going to be launching more of these practices so you can all join me on a regular basis. So stay tuned for that. But today, Soda and I wanted to share this with you because as you're transitioning into the fall, it can be very easy to feel stuck and overwhelmed. And as some of you may have felt from today's practice, it's nice when you just pause and slow down and tune in. So I hope that served you. Soda and I thank you. Anything else you want to add, Soda, before we wrap up?
No, that was wonderful. It was just the midday, the midday relaxation that I needed. So hopefully the people that are tuning in benefited from it as well.
I'm so glad. And Soda and I are so passionate about this because when we slow down, when we relax a little bit, life becomes better on every level. Yes, we talk about sleep. We love sleep. We're passionate about sleep. But to get that optimal sleep, this is the lifestyle where we're inviting that nourishment and relaxation. And when we invite that every single day for ourselves, no matter what's going on, life does become much better on every level. Things that felt annoying don't seem that annoying anymore. Those little fights you had, not as a big of a deal. It's your strength. It's your superpower. So relaxation is your superpower. Don't forget that. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to our next live sleep chat, which is going to be on the first Tuesday of October. Soda and I will be sending that information out over the next few weeks. Please visit Soda's website, startwithsleep.com, if you want to learn more about the incredible work that she's doing. If you're interested in either a career as an integrative adult sleep coach or pregnancy and child sleep coach, you can visit parentinghealthinstitute.com as well. And we're also launching pregnancy, parenting, postpartum, and adult classes for health. That is going to be launching very soon. So if you're someone that is not interested in a career, but you're looking for a place to go where you can be taken through these practices and given tips and coached in a group setting, we will have more information about that soon as well. Please hit that.
Don't forget we have our live panel tomorrow. They can learn more about
Oh, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Tomorrow, yes, we have a info session. So anyone that is interested in learning more about our institute and any careers, we have a panel where you get to meet me, Soda, and other faculty. We're going to be answering your questions. You can visit parentinghealthinstitute.com/program info, and or you can just look at the tab. It's there. And then you can join us. You can reserve your spot, and we will share a lot more information. Please hit that like button if you like this information, and share it if you feel this is going to benefit others. Also, subscribe to our channel so that you can receive more of this fabulous content. And we look forward to meeting with you again next month. All right, take care. Bye-bye.